On Tech News today, Dell's going private, Twitter's going all in on social, Facebook wants to track you all the time, and forget Megapixels, the future's Ultra. All that and more next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Tuesday, February 5th, 2013. Tech News Today is brought to you by ShareFile. Enhance your workflow. Send files of almost any size easily and securely with ShareFile by Citrix. Try ShareFile today. For a 30-day free trial, go to sharefile.com, click the radio microphone, and enter TNT. And by Squarespace, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website, blog, or online portfolio. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, go to squarespace.com and use that offer code TNT2. They recently launched a developer platform for complete code control. And by The Resumator. Streamline hiring and increase traffic to job postings with The Resumator, the hiring solution used by today's fastest-growing companies. For a free trial, go to theresumator.com/TNT. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Ayaz Akhtar.
I'm Jason Howell.
And Tom Merritt is off today, but he'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Ayaz, you're not feeling so good, so you're keeping the germs at home. But we've got a great show anyway. We keep you up to date on the most important stories in the tech world on this very show, and we start each day with the top 10 stories of the day in the news views. Dell be going private. Yeah, it's a real thing. $24.4 billion deal led by founder Michael Dell and the investment firm Silver Lake and a buyers consortium that includes Microsoft will pay out shareholders $13.65 per share. Michael Dell is going to contribute his stake of roughly 14% toward the transaction and will contribute additional cash through his private investment firm, MSD Capital. Silver Lake is expected to contribute about $1 billion in cash, and Microsoft will loan an additional $2 billion.
Business Insider reports that Twitter has acquired Bluefin Labs, a social TV analytics company. According to Business Insider sources, this would be Twitter's biggest acquisition to date, but the site didn't have a solid dollar figure on the deal. Bluefin works with 40 U.S. TV networks to give them details on social media responses during individual TV broadcasts.
In an effort to help developers make as much money as possible from App Store submissions, Amazon is launching Amazon Coins. It's a new virtual currency that will allow Kindle Fire owners to purchase apps, games, and make in-app purchases on their tablets when the service goes live in May. It's going live in the U.S. only, at least to begin with, and it'll give customers two choices to buy apps or make purchases from within that app.
Bloomberg says that Facebook is working on a new app that will track the location of its users. The app would launch in mid-March and would let users find friends nearby. Facebook could use the app to sell ads based on where you've been and what you do.
Oh boy, I can't wait for that. Out with Mega, in with Ultra. That's if you're HTC anyway. The new camera sensor on the upcoming HTC M7 smartphone, rumored with all sorts of specs for a while now, will use what the company calls Ultrapixels. This is at least according to PocketLint. Previously rumored to be a 13-megapixel sensor, sources now say the new camera will instead be made up of three 4.3 megapixel sensor layers combined to give a resulting single image. Okay.
Exactly. Ultra is way better than Mega.
Okay.
Microsoft's Windows Phone will launch in Africa. Who's Microsoft's launch buddy? Is it Nokia? Of course not. Microsoft is teaming up with Huawei as a part of its For Africa initiative. These phones are designed to be the most affordable Windows Phone in Africa, according to Microsoft. The phone itself is a version of the Huawei Ascend with a 4-inch screen and a 5-megapixel camera. That's right, they still use megapixels at Huawei.
Consumer electronics review site Gadget, that's GDGT, founded by Engadget co-founder Peter Rojas and former Engadget editor-in-chief Ryan Block, is in late-stage acquisition talks with AOL. This is reported by TechCrunch, which is also an AOL property. Boy, a lot of inside baseball here. Neither AOL nor Gadget are commenting on the matter. In related news, though, About.me founders Tony Conrad and Ryan Freitas have announced via a blog that they're spinning their service out of AOL and back into a startup. AOL acquired the service in December 2010.
The Invaders team has jailbroken iOS 6 and iOS 6.1 for every iOS device except for the Apple TV. The team posted on Twitter that they had over 270,000 active users on its website and overloaded servers. The jailbreak works on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS X.
Samsung is committing to investments in new technology with the launch of its new Samsung Strategy and Innovation Center, or SSIC, as well as a $100 million commitment to a new Samsung Catalyst Fund to fund development of components and subsystems. That's all alongside a $1 billion offering that Samsung is investing through its Venture Americas Fund and existing research and development centers around the world. The new Innovation Center will be headquartered at Sand Hill Road in Silicon Valley, big surprise, and will be led by Samsung Electronics President and Chief Strategy Officer Young Son.
British chip designer ARM posted its fourth quarter earnings with a pre-tax profit of approximately $126 million, which is a 16% increase compared to last year at the same time. ARM said it saw strong growth in the Mali-based chips as well as the Cortex-A. The company's processor royalties also grew 21% year on year.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by ShareFile. You know, if you're working in business, you need to make sure that you're communicating with the people that you're doing business with, right? I mean, that all seems really, really obvious. But sending emails, if they've got attachments that are too big or the emails bounce back and, you know, it doesn't look very professional, it's definitely a waste of time. It's a waste of your energy. So if you drop your files into online boxes for others to access, that's not safe or secure either. That's why you want ShareFile by our friends at Citrix. We love Citrix because they understand how businesses work and how employees want to be as effective as possible. They created a better solution for us. Now, millions of accountants and lawyers, other business professionals rely on ShareFile. It allows you to send files of almost any size securely. You can track the progress of your files. You can control who has access to these files by using tools like password protection. You can even sign and edit your files, streamline collaboration. Notifications are automatically sent when files are opened. Plus, with ShareFile, you can access your files from anywhere. That's Citrix loves. They know that we're busy people. We're all over the place. Your laptop, your tablet, your smartphone. So we've got a special offer if you want to try ShareFile for free and see if it is the solution for your business. Sign up for a 30-day free trial today. You don't need a credit card. There's really nothing, you only have to gain because you're going to like it. Go to sharefile.com, click on the microphone, and enter TNT to try it out now. That's 30 days free at sharefile.com and type in TNT. All right, to help us make a little sense of some of the news stories today is Simon Dingle, who I asked before the show, what do you want me to call you? And he said, how about technology guy? So Simon, thanks for joining us, and thanks for being a tech guy.
I couldn't think of anything better. Thanks, Sarah. Good to be with you again.
Yeah, all right. How's life down in that other hemisphere?
It's really warm. Today was nice and sunny. I moved to Cape Town about 8 months ago, and I haven't regretted it. So nearer to the ocean, and things are really warm and pretty great down here right now.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's summer. Yeah, I never get over that. Let's start off with big news about Dell going private. As I mentioned in the news fuse, this is a deal led by the founder and CEO and chairman, Michael Dell, and the investment firm Silver Lake. This is a $24.4 billion deal. Dell himself will contribute his rather large stake in the deal, which is, I mentioned 14% in the news views. I have 16% in these notes, so probably somewhere in between the two. It's quite a big chunk. And under the terms of the deal, there's a buyers consortium, which does include Microsoft, among others, and will pay out shareholders 13.65 dollars and cents per share, which is kind of interesting. It's a 25% premium over Dell's closing share price, which was under $11. That was on January 11th, which was the last trading day before these rumors of a possible going private transaction were first published. So in a way you say, the the shareholders come out ahead. Dell will continue to lead the company. He will remain as chairman and CEO. He will keep a big equity investment in Dell because he'll be contributing his shares of Dell to the new company. He's also putting in more additional cash investment. The company will continue to be headquartered in Round Rock, Texas, where it has been. And what's interesting, and this is Mary Jo Foley over at ZDNet wrote up kind of an interesting spin on this, is Microsoft, I mentioned, was loaning Dell $2 billion, but this is not Microsoft becoming part owner. This is not in the same vein that the investment firm Silver Lake becomes a part owner It's more like the Nokia deal from early 2011, where Microsoft kind of gave Nokia a lifeboat, and in turn, way forced Nokia to be really, really, really bullish on the Lumia phones and the future of Windows. Ayaz, I know that you pay a lot of attention to what Microsoft does. Does this seem like Microsoft is giving Dell a bit of a lifeboat so that Dell has to commit more to Windows going forward and not something like Linux or Chromebooks?
I think it's more Microsoft giving itself a hand. I mean, the thing is, they are afraid of losing market share, and by loaning money to Dell, they'll be able to potentially have Dell manufacture some of their PCs or maybe some more of their hardware if they want to. And the thing is, with Microsoft not becoming part owner, I think that was an intelligent move, because if they did become part owner of Dell, that would make other OEMs fear what Microsoft is doing. They're already in the hardware business, and if they own part of Dell, a major OEM, that would be a bigger issue. The fact is, I think that this is going to help Dell a lot in general. I think they could be a lot more nimble because they're not necessarily worried about shareholders. I'm assuming that a ton of acquisitions are up ahead for Dell.
Simon, what do you think? Mr. Dell himself has put out a statement saying this is a new chapter for Dell, for our customers, for our team. We can deliver this immediate value to stockholders while we continue the execution of our long-term strategy and focus on delivering best-in-class solutions to our customers as a private enterprise. Does this seem like a smart move?
Absolutely. I think this is the right thing for Dell to be doing right now, take off some of the pressure and really focus on innovation. And God knows the PC space needs innovation right now. They're being outclassed left, right, and center by other players. I've been playing with some new devices from Asus that are amazing, and Dell is just looking streets behind at the moment. The question is, what do they do now? I just can't think of anything coming out of Dell at the moment that looks even halfway promising. So I agree that the privatization is a great move. Getting rid of the pressure, turning inwards, and getting back to innovating that's all great. But what do they do with that? I can't think of anything from Dell at the moment that's on the right path. They need to completely rethink things, as far as I'm concerned.
You don't. So you guys, it sounds like everyone thinks that this is a pretty good idea, the restructuring effort. You don't think Dell sort of becomes Microsoft has a new tablet and Microsoft may market that in a certain way, but then Dell kind of becomes a factory for similar versions of Microsoft products?
I mean, possibly. I mean, if you think about this, like the way Nokia worked out, I would be slightly fearful of this, because I mean, Nokia was Microsoft's big buddy. They're like, hey, we'll take care of you. It'll be great. And then Microsoft partners up with HTC and a whole bunch of other companies.
Well, and Huawei in Africa.
Exactly.
I mean, so Nokia, that seemed like that would have been almost a no-brainer.
But on the plus side, that means that all the other OEMs, especially like HP, I mean, Microsoft doesn't want to make HP freak out any further than they already were. So I think it's going to be a really intriguing scenario. I'm not assuming that Dell's going to have a bunch of signature Microsoft PCs or anything. I could imagine that maybe the next versions of Surface or a laptop version of Surface or something like that could be manufactured by Dell but carry Microsoft branding, similarly to the Xbox.
Well, I guess another alternative is that they move away from consumers altogether and start buckling down on enterprise, which is really where Dell is still doing pretty well. And, if you look at the enterprise space at the moment, things are changing. There's a lot of innovation required for big corporates as well. It's not a bad place for Dell to be focusing right now, I don't think.
All right. Well, there are some other changes afoot. Last night, Business Insider broke news that Twitter was buying a company called Bluefin Labs. If you're not familiar with it, it's a social TV analytics company. It was founded in 2008. And All Things D says, yeah, we've got sources that say this is actually happening. It says that Twitter will spend around $70 million for Bluefin. And you sort of go, social TV analytics, all right, what is that? What Bluefin Labs does is offered detailed reports on which brands are discussed most on social media. So that's Twitter, that's other sites as well. It can provide Twitter the ammunition that Twitter wants to be able to hook advertisers and saying, listen, here's where you should spend money. Here's where you need to spend money to get out in front of people, based on what's going on in social media, because of course the landscape changes in real time. Where you need to spend money to maintain your place, at the top of search results, and keep people talking about you. So it really makes sense. If you look back to the Super Bowl, for example, you've got an exciting game. Well, it got exciting towards the end. You've got this sort of strange blackout in the middle of the game, Simon. I know you don't have the Super Bowl down in South Africa, but please stop me if you're like, what? There was a bit of a power outage in the middle of the show, which is very unusual. But it also, you had I think 36 minutes of downtime in the middle of a game that shouldn't have been there, and everybody took to social media. It was actually the most social event to ever air on television ever. So the timing of this is really great. And then of course Twitter is dipping its toes into all sorts of these types of deals. It secured a partnership with Nielsen, a multi-year partnership, just a couple months ago, to start producing social TV ratings. So this is something that Twitter is extremely interested in, and we talked yesterday on the show about how Twitter was not only a place where people were, enjoying the game and discussing it, but it was in half of the ads that ran, these really expensive ads, and it was Twitter rather than Facebook or rather than Google Plus or rather than anything else. I'm okay. So Simon, from a little bit of a different perspective, I suppose, because Twitter's an American company, but it is very global, and obviously trending things happen, all over the world in different ways. Does this seem like a good place for Twitter to really be investing in?
When I think of just listening to what you've just been saying, Twitter really does lend itself to live television better than any other social network or platform. So that makes sense for me. The other thing is, I think increasingly people just don't watch a lot of live television anymore, which means that the live TV that they do watch is usually a big deal, like the Super Bowl, and probably becomes even more prime than it has been before. So the opportunity for a Twitter and for advertisers, I think, in live television is greater, even though there's, as a direct result of the scarcity that's being created in that space. So it makes a lot of sense for Twitter. I just feel like looking at this acquisition from afar, there's an angle of it I'm missing. I suspect there's part of the story that's yet to be revealed, because it isn't quite adding up for me at this stage.
Twitter likes to control its data. When it comes to their fire hose, you have to pay money for that. When it comes to this deal, it seems like Twitter wants to make sure that when it comes to television, that you go to Twitter proper. You're not going to some other company that's analyzing things that Twitter could be making money on. They've acquired a whole bunch of different companies that do things better than Twitter. And so what they're doing is they're just saying, look, if there's a company out there like TweetDeck that does something better than we do, we're going to go get them and be the real source for everything. Because instead of looking for a third party, instead of paying somebody else, Twitter's going to have a company like Bluefin, and they'll be able to provide so much data to television companies. I'm sure they're going to love that when it comes to the idea of working with the bigger industries, because Twitter's really become very mainstream, especially with it's like Olympic partnerships, all of those things, that to be the source for television networks when it comes to Twitter analytics, I think that's going to be very helpful for them.
All Things D article mentions that although 70 million, is sounds like a lot of money, sources say, well, Bluefin might have decided that it needed to sell now. Again, sources are familiar with the matter. It's a Boston-based company, by the way, said that Bluefin was really wanting to become a Nielsen rival, an actual Nielsen rival, starting out with social analytics and then telling programmers and marketers what people were saying about them when they watched TV, and that eventually they were going to add more verticals, but had a lot of trouble kind of getting its analytics out in front of big brands and getting those big brands to understand it. So this may be a great acquisition for Twitter, but also a great way for Bluefin to have a proven model, because, of course, Twitter's just that household name, and they're already talking to brands. And if Bluefin can't do it, they don't get to really get anywhere, even if they have a great product. All right. Well, let's move on to we've got some new products at Amazon. Hi.
That's right. We got OUYA, the Android-powered gaming console, has lined up a lot of big partners. You'll be able to buy the OUYA at Amazon, GameStop, Target, and Best Buy. OUYA is going to cost $100. Its controller costs $49 at retail. It costs only $30 at OUYA's website, but there's a $10 shipping fee. That's about the same. Pre-orders will be accepted starting today with retail availability in June of 2013. And according to the CEO of OUYA, she says that over 68,000 consoles are already on order. She said she'd try to get placement that would make the console more accessible for demos. So when you're in that retail space, you should be able to see a working OUYA and you'll be able to play games. Orders from the OUYA site will go out in April. Sarah, we were talking about this earlier. You think that with a deal like this to have working demos available at these places, has OUYA become a major player in the console business so fast?
Well, I mean, I'm a little surprised, actually, that you're going to be able to get the OUYA at Amazon, GameStop, Target, Best Buy. You're going to be able to go into a store and play around with it. I mean, yeah, talk about some big retail partners. How'd they pull that off? Considering that this is a successful crowdsourced project.
Well, the only way I can figure that they pull this off is that they've raised over, I think, $8 million in their Kickstarter. They were only trying to get a couple of, nowhere near that much money. I'm sure they have enough money to get enough deals in place.
Expensive business lunches.
Exactly. It's probably a bunch of 5-star business lunches getting them at Amazon. Simon, do you think that the OUYA console can actually become a major player in a business dominated by Sony and Microsoft at this point?
I'll tell you one thing, retailers know hotcakes when they see them, and a $100 gaming console, especially packaged the way that OUYA is at the right time, is going to fly off shelves, right? So if you're Sony right now, with the new PlayStation announcement coming on the 20th of February, you have to be looking at this and worrying. My feeling, though, is that while OUYA is going to enjoy some success in the short term, because this is really where people want to see gaming going, I personally believe. This is certainly, as a gamer myself, something that I find quite exciting. But I'm increasingly using my tablet, my mobile phone for gaming, and I'm using the television increasingly with an Apple TV to kind of get those games onto the big screen. Now, that's a trend that's not stopping, right? And as our mobile devices become more and more capable, that's where we're going to be doing all of our gaming and increasingly all of our computing. So I think OUYA is the right product at the right time. It's going to enjoy a lot of attention. It's going to fly off shelves. But in the long term, they really need to be thinking the same way Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft need to be thinking right now, which is, what do we do about mobile?
Well, the other thing is this is a $100 console. The Wii U is very expensive, and we're expecting the Xbox and the PlayStation to be refreshed this year. I think the $100 price point is going to get a lot of people in the door. Especially if OUYA can offer cloud gaming services, they're not necessarily worried about, hey, can that box do all the processing? It's more, can it receive the processing? Because that will make it a big difference out there. Sarah, I think we kind of have the same soft spot for Nintendo. Should they be freaking out right now, the fact that OUYA can be in Target and have a $100 console sitting there versus the, I don't know, $600 Wii U sitting on and getting dusty on shelves?
Yeah, I mean, I think is the first time any of us even heard about OUYA, we all sort of went, well, this seems pretty great. How did they pull this off? I mean, really, and you're right. Yes, I do have a soft spot for Nintendo, but at the same time, I mean, I've been saying for a year now that Nintendo just needs to get his act together and stop being this sort of premium console company that doesn't want to work with really popular developers and apps that, let's face it, the world loves. This is the future of everything. It's a very low price point. I am curious to see, once the pre-order numbers start coming in, how much this 68,000, which is what the console's on order right now, the number stands at, how much that grows. I know that there's a lot of interest, but I wonder if the trajectory plateaus at a certain point. Well, it will plateau at a certain point, but when?
I think it's definitely going to be a very interesting race this year in the video game console business. We got Valve coming in with their Steam box. We've got the new Xbox coming out. We got the new PlayStation out, and the OUYA is actually going to be a real product. I'm really excited to see what the gaming market is going to be like this year.
All right, let's take a moment to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this episode of TNT. Squarespace is the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website, blog, or online portfolio. In fact, I'm right in the middle of building my Squarespace 6 website right now, and I almost have like crippling choice problem because all of the templates are so nice. I don't know which one to go with because every time I switch around, I'm like, oh, that one's good. Oh, that one's good. It's great. Squarespace gives you and your website users a really great experience, particularly on mobile. You know, we were just talking about mobile. Has new templates with mobile-ready responsive designs, which means that any way that you access a Squarespace site, it's going to look great. The images are going to resize. It just makes sense. It has beautiful templates, 100% drag and drop functionality for all of those customization tools. If you are not a designer, if you don't like tinkering around, Squarespace is awesome for you. If you're a little bit like me and you get really obsessed on the details, Squarespace will let you tinker as much as you want. And there's great social media integration because that's where it's all going, right? You can automatically import, sync, publish to and from social media with just a few clicks. Social media buttons are so easy to add to your left or your right-hand rail or wherever the template allows. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram, all the big guys. And it's really well designed. Really well designed. The back end is easy to navigate. The customer service is awesome. The hosting is very, very important. If you build a site and it gets popular, you don't have to worry about it going down or there being, maintenance problems or anything like that. Squarespace is really an all-in-one solution. You build a website, but it's also domain hosting, the design element, the development on the back end, customer support. It's a unified service. To create a high-quality website, blog, or online portfolio, you got to try Squarespace. And what's cool is that you can try it out with no strings attached. Free trial. Go to squarespace.com and you can sign up for a free account there. Don't need a credit card. You're not going to be on the hook. Nobody's going to start charging you 2 months down the road. You just try it out and start building that website. If you decide to purchase a plan, use the offer code TNT2 and you get 10% off your first purchase on new accounts. That includes monthly and annual plans because you have some choices there. Again, squarespace.com and use that offer code TNT2 once you decide on a Squarespace plan that works for you. And thanks to them for sponsoring this episode of TNT. All right, what's our next story? Oh, yeah, Mega versus Ultra. Ayaz, is this just semantics? What's going on?
Let's go with this. PocketLint.com is saying that HTC is going to use a new sensor on its M7 phone. They're not using, as you mentioned in the news views, they're not going to be marketing the cameras as most do. They're going to be using the new term Ultrapixels instead of Megapixels because this camera is made up of 3 different sensor layers. These are each 4.3 megapixels, and that gets combined into a single image, which theoretically means better color accuracy. We've seen HTC partner up with Beats and try to differentiate themselves out there with their Sense UI. Simon, do you think the Ultra Pixel can be enough to make HTC stand out up against Samsung and all these other giants?
Show me the pictures.
Yes.
Because I'm, it's... we've heard of the Nokia 808, which really is amazing, but we've also heard that the Lumia 920 was going to blow people away when we saw the images, and really, it's good for a smartphone, but it's comparable to the 8X and the iPhone 5. I'm busy trying one of these new BlackBerry 10 devices at the moment, which has an 8-megapixel camera. Tell you what, BlackBerry means something very different by 8 megapixels than HTC and Nokia and Apple do. So this is all cool. It sounds great. Looks fantastic. Show me the pictures.
It's kind of funny. I mean, when you hear megapixel, we all know what that means. But if you really think about megapixel, the term ultrapixel sounds very silly to me. However, I mean, it's like the ultra book. I don't know. It's just ultra. I'm not crazy about that term. However, what else are they going to do? I mean, this is a different technology. It's supposed to make the pictures look better. And Simon, I'm totally in agreement with you that if the pictures look better, then everybody wins. But they have to call it something different, right?
I guess so.
Yeah,
it's named. Go ahead, Simon.
No, I was just going to say, HTC really needs to find more differentiators at the moment, and I think that's really what we're seeing from them. The partnership with Beats and what they're trying to do on the interface front, they really are, I'm not going to say clutching at straws, and I'm an HTC fan, so I really do feel for them, but they're trying to find the next big differentiator. I'm not sure that Ultrapixels are going to be it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that made HTC stand out in the first place was the way they skinned Android, the way their phones were built. It was very high build quality. If you compare that to Samsung's got these really plasticky phones, but they're really popular because Samsung is trying to get to every person on Earth when it comes to different form factors. I don't know if a camera is going to be the big differentiator, even if it does take great pictures. Because, I mean, the thing is, HTC has to market this new term as Ultrapixels. They have to show these amazing pictures. I mean, we saw Nokia try this. They had this image stabilization on their Lumia line, which turned out to be faked. I mean, as long as HTC doesn't make that same kind of misstep, I think they got a chance with it, but I don't know if it'll be enough to bring HTC to beat Samsung. Samsung right now is just killing it when it comes to phones.
Yeah, and when it comes to, good cameras on phones, I agree that there are definitely people out there who will say, if these ultra pixel camera phones are the best kind of camera, then that's what I'm interested in, because you've got those photo enthusiasts. But the cameras on smartphones in general right now are pretty great. And we can argue, who's got the best, camera and sensor, but it's in general, smartphones take pretty good pictures. So I think the general public is going to say, like, okay, yeah, there's a new technology and we don't really care. The camera I have on my phone is fine.
I can't wait to have it with my Ultrabook. I'll have my Ultra Pixel, and I'll also have my Ultra HD TV. Ultra is the new every word.
Speaking of Ultra, how about Ultra privacy concerns? This is a story coming from Facebook, of course, because I love Facebook stories and I don't have a lot of privacy. Anonymous sources have told Bloomberg that Facebook is working on an app which would possibly be available as early as March that would be designed to help users find their friends. Yeah, okay. But it would run even when the program isn't open, which sounds a lot like Find My Friends, which of course is a native iOS app for anybody who doesn't use iOS. Ayaz and I can both decide to say, okay, we'd like to know each other's location. And anytime I want to search for him on a map, his location is sent to me, as long as he hasn't turned it off. So this is something that Facebook is interested in doing. And Facebook is interested in doing a variety of services that other companies do that seem to work well and that the public seems to like, because Facebook wants to be kind of everything to everyone. But this tracking app could help Facebook sell ads based on users' locations and their habits. Not only where am I, but do I always take the same route to work? Maybe there's something that could be marketed to me, that sort of thing. Now, what's interesting, and this is actually kind of timely, because on this week's i5, I had a little tip on how to turn off your Facebook location information in Facebook Messenger, because it was something that I had turned on and then I sort of forgot about it. And then I was like, I'm sending my location every time I message someone on Facebook. And some of those people do not need to know where I am. Facebook friend is somewhat of a loose term. But Facebook already records the coordinates of users when they post status updates or photos from their phones, or they check in somewhere. I mean, unless you explicitly turn that off, that's something that you can blast out on Facebook really, really easily. A new app like this, which doesn't have a name yet, or certainly we don't know it, that would be another step into tracking the whereabouts of all of us in the background of what looks, at least right now, to be the iOS operating system exclusively. Simon, I'll start with you. Does this freak you out, or do you feel like you can navigate the whole geolocation toggle on and off pretty well?
It doesn't freak me out at all, and I think it's a major opportunity for Facebook. As you said, Find My Friends was Apple's stab into this arena. It's okay. It feels like there's an idea there that somebody needs to come in and own. For Facebook to take that and take it multi-platform, to come up with something like that, I think is the right idea. However, they're going to smash into a big, colorful wall named Google, right? Because I'm a Google Now fan. It's getting better all the time. I've been playing Ingress. I'm not sure exactly what Google's up to with that game, but it's got to be giving them a lot of great location data. And then when you look at the next generation of wearables, it just feels like Google is showing more force in this arena than anybody else. So right idea for Facebook. Can they beat Google at it in the long term? I don't know. But this kind of thing you kind of need to make peace with now, or get rid of your phone. It doesn't freak me out too much.
Or certainly get rid of your Facebook friends that don't need to have your information. Ayaz, do you think that this is this the right call for Facebook? There's just so many of us on Facebook, and we're connected to so many people on Facebook already.
I mean, I think they bought GoWallet, didn't they?
Yes.
That's what Facebook. Yeah, so I believe the GoWallet team actually is a part of this, if I read that right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just seems like Facebook is using what they have, what talent they have to make the apps they want. Whether they can leverage this properly to have advertisements that are relevant, I mean, that would be a great idea. Although I I think this would shape behavior if you are aware that there's a Facebook app that does this. You might be like, maybe I won't friend 800 people that I don't know. Like for Foursquare, you can discover your friends on Foursquare and see where they are. But I have like 30 Foursquare friends because I don't want everybody to know where I am, because that could just be trouble. So the thing is, I think that maybe it's just Facebook, another checkbox feature, because they have how many apps already? You want to replace the Find My Friends app with the Facebook app? Go ahead, because they now have a version for you. So they're just hitting every single application that's on your phone already, and Facebook wants your data, and they're gonna get it.
Yeah, trim your friend fat if you use this or something. All right, let's finish off with a study that apparently nobody understands what a digital wallet is or how to use it.
That's according to ComScore. 51% of U.S. consumers are aware of digital payment providers other than PayPal. So it's not the vast majority, but 51% are aware of them anyway. Only 12% have used applications such as Square Wallet, Google Wallet, and others. ComScore's data is based on 1 million U.S. consumers. So they're not just like targeting only like 10 people. It's 1 million people. On brand awareness, 72% were aware of PayPal's digital wallet. Only 48% were aware of Google Wallet. And if you're seeing the chart in the video, you can see that MasterCard's up there, V.me, which is a new service but by Visa that they're pushing, only, 8% are aware of it. 2% have used it. And this is a major company there. ComScore found that 93% of respondents said they would prefer to use a digital wallet that has to be unlocked before you use it. You got to do that. But only 57% were aware that this type of feature was available even after reading websites and reading the information about it. So apparently this is not being communicated very well. Simon, do you think digital wallets will take off? And who could possibly market this successfully? If Visa can't and PayPal's got this game to lose, who can make people use this?
Well, it's more about people needing it or not, right? I think the perception out there at the moment is, okay, that looks pretty cool. What do I need it for? PayPal is cool because I can pay other people, but the real opportunity is in retail, right? And we live in a world where everybody has cards, and cards work really well. And they might not be perfect, and they might not be 21st century, but they work, and everybody has one. So you need to come up with something that consumers look at and go, okay, that's a no-brainer. It's better than my card. I need that. Right now, I think a lot of consumers outside of, the geek ecosystem look at these things and go, that looks pretty cool, but I've got a card, and I trust the card provider, and I know that it's relatively secure. I understand how it works, and this doesn't look like it's any better or worse than the card. Either that, or it needs the card to make it work, in which case I'll just use the card.
Now, Sarah, somebody's likened this to ATMs. Originally, people were fearful of ATMs. They don't want to use them. Mm-hmm. They want to go to bank tellers because they don't understand this wacky machine idea. Is the idea of a digital wallet just early, or is this something that might not take off?
I think it's early. I talk about how much I like Square, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are like, yeah, well, I don't know any business around me that even uses it, so, it doesn't really make much sense. I think a lot of this is just companies are in early stages. They're trying to figure out how to market this effectively, not only to consumers, but to businesses. I mean, this the whole idea of having the wallet is like it's a two-way transaction here. I think PayPal being at least at the forefront at this point is because PayPal has great brand recognition. I use PayPal for a lot of stuff because it just works. So I haven't necessarily even paid much attention to what Visa is offering that might be comparable because it's like, well, I already have something that works. I do think that this is these are in the early stages. I don't think that we're going to have 10 companies. I mean, that graph that we were looking at, eventually there's going to be a couple of companies that do this really well, kind of like credit card companies. That's how I see it anyway. But it's a great idea. It's just a bit of a learning curve, I think.
I'm going to say it. I think the only company that make this work in the U.S. is Apple. When they introduced that passbook thing, people were like, oh, is it like a digital wallet? And it's not. Sometimes I think that you have to have the right marketing for this. And PayPal has got this game to lose. But the thing is, if you have a company saying it's really simple and we figured it out, I mean, Google Wallet's pretty simple, but Google's not really great when it comes to marketing in general, even though they have those touchy-feely Nexus ads. I think Apple might be the only company that will make this an actual popular thing. And I know I'm going to get hate mail about that.
Don't discount Visa and MasterCard. They've got the relationship of trust with consumers right now. Everybody knows Visa. Everybody knows MasterCard. If they're going to trust somebody with their money, it's probably going to be somebody who they've trusted in the past. I don't disagree that Apple's got a great stab at this, and they're already sort of a trusted store of value for millions of people around the world. But I wouldn't discount Visa and MasterCard in this race.
All right. We're not discounting anything, and we're certainly not discounting the randomizer.
Randomizer is full price today.
I asked, what's the Power Pot?
The Power Pot. Yeah, I found this morning. It's
I love the name.
It's an actual pot. You put water in it, and when you heat the water, this Power Pot will charge any USB powered device.
What? How?
You could use, so it turns heat into energy. So if you got propane or whatever, it doesn't need a special heat source, and you're able to boil water, that will charge your device. It costs $150. Obviously, this makes a lot of sense when you're camping or if you're in a power outage or any of those kinds of scenarios. But Sarah, would you want to start charging your iPhone by boiling water?
Okay, so, all right. So my honest answer is no, but my geeky answer is I know a lot of people who would decide to go camping just so we could try this out. I mean, that's just, it's just like, if it works, then we just all sit around and go, look at it, it's working, it's the water boiling. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're in a power outage, though, if you think about some sort of, I don't know, natural disaster, as long as you're not relying on an electric stove or something, this could actually come in really handy. It's a great idea.
Well, if your electric stove is working, you probably don't need to charge anything via the pot. But
well, then because the power wouldn't be out is what I'm saying. Yes.
Well, you get to kill two birds with one stone, right?
Right.
So you can make yourself a cup of tea or coffee, plus charge up your phone. That could work for me. I'd probably go with solar if all I needed to do was charge my phone out in the wild. But if I needed a cup of tea too.
Yeah, think of it as a bonus charging opportunity for you when you're camping.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a waste to boil water just to charge your phone, but if you happen to be using, boiling water for something, might as well charge your device as well.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
I forgot to ask our resident camper.
That's right. I actually think this is great. I would love to have one.
So everybody knows this for Christmas. Jason wants hundreds of power pots.
Pots can be more than $150. I mean, this isn't even that expensive.
What was that, Simon?
So how are you going to make pictures of your food? Take pictures of your food if your smartphone's flat, right?
Exactly.
Well, actually, while it's charging, you can just power it right up. It's charging and you take pictures at the same time. See, it's beautiful. I love this.
Wonderful. Power pot. Yes, we're all getting one for Christmas. Thanks, Leo.
Right. Yay. Thank you, Leo.
All right, let's take a moment to thank our third and final sponsor, the Resumator, for sponsoring this episode of Tech News Today. This is the hiring solution for small and fast-growing businesses. We at TWiT like to think of ourselves as small and scrappy, but also fast-growing. If you're a business executive or a hiring manager, or you work in the HR department, this is a way for you to cut down on the time you spend hiring tasks by 50% and reducing the cost per hire as much as 85%. Wow, those numbers sound very optimistic. Try replacing your HR inbox or, one of these tracking systems that doesn't really work that well for hiring. If you want to hire people that are great with the Resumator, it's an end-to-end hiring package that manages the whole process of hiring. So it's attracting people that are smart and great, they're right for your business, and then selecting your next employee. That's all involved. We have begun to use the Resumator at TWiT. Leo and Lisa are huge fans of it because they're the ones who hire people. We've grown a lot in the last few years, and it's helping us be more efficient. Again, it's a small team. We all have a lot of different roles here. So this is the kind of service that really, really helps us out. Here's how it works. Helps you with sourcing. You attract applicants to your jobs with your website, free job boards, social media connections. You get the word out there. And then it helps you screen people so you can rank them, track them, not in a creepy way, and discuss resumes to help identify the top applicants, the people who are most qualified in your pool. And then it helps you with the interview process. You can schedule meetings with people, with candidates. You can collect feedback from your whole team. Hey, what'd you think about Bob? Does he seem like he's going to be a good fit for us? And finally, it helps you hire the right person for your business. You can use it to collaborate and compare to select the best person for the job. If you're a business owner, if you're a hiring manager, if you work in an HR department, you're an HR professional and you want to save time, you want to save money, and you want to increase traffic to your job postings, you want the right people to know about these postings. Definitely check out The Resumator. You can get a 14-day free trial too if you just go to theresumator.com/TNT. After the free trial, their base package is $99 per month, covers 5 open jobs and 5 users, and they offer other packages as well. So definitely check out what your options are. Again, 14 days free at theresumator.com/TNT, and we thank them for sponsoring this episode of Tech News Today. Ayaz, I know you're not feeling all that great, but would you like to take on the calendar today?
I'd love to take on the calendar.
All right.
Why not? OUYA pre-orders start today. Retail availability, which I cannot say, is coming up in June, like I said before. 128 gigabyte iPads are now available in the Apple stores. AT&T's version of the 128 gigabyte iPad will ship in the same 1 to 3 business day window. However, the Sprint and Verizon models will take more time, shipping in about 3 to 5 days. Earnings reports tomorrow from Yelp. There's also a social commerce summit in New York City tomorrow, the 6th. 500 Startups Demo Day runs tomorrow through the 7th in Mountain View, California. And that awesome Lenovo ThinkPad Helix, you know, that like it's a fantastic tablet and laptop thing. Yeah, it's delayed until March or April. So how's that for vague calendaring?
Very good work. Let's see what's incoming.
Incoming message.
We got a message from Michael in Yokohama. He says, "Hey, TNT crew, on episode 683, you discussed that Twitter won the Super Bowl with the most advertising mentions, with Facebook coming in second and Google Plus not getting any mentions at all. There was a dig on Google Plus being shut out with the overtone that it may not be deserving of its number 2 worldwide social media status. It sounds to me like you're criticizing Google Plus for not being commercially exploitable enough. Thank you, Matt Cutts, for all you do to keep Google that way. To me, I don't go to a social network to consume advertising. I go to Google Plus in particular to interact with others with shared interests. The lack of brands in my stream is why I go there daily and check in on Facebook only once in a blue moon."
I think that's a really good point, Michael. It's true. It's, you know, here we are saying Twitter won because brands use Twitter, but that doesn't necessarily mean that as individuals, it makes our Twitter experience any better. Simon, where do you stand on this?
I hang out on Google Plus all day, and I really enjoy the quality of conversation that I'm getting on the network. There's just how do I say this without making Facebook people sound stupid? There's just a level of conversation that I find more engaging on Google Plus at the moment.
All right, we got another email from Sid who says, "Great episode yesterday." Hey, thanks, Sid. Said, "I noticed on the segment about Samsung and Wacom partnering up, there was a little bit of confusion about the use case of these stylus-enabled tablets. Artistic and CAD use cases aside, I think anybody who's tried to use a tablet to take notes in class or at a meeting can attest how difficult it can be to annotate note or PowerPoints with just a finger. Not only that, but capacitive styli have large surface areas which can make it difficult to write words in the margins. It's similar to writing with a big fat marker. Active digitizers from Wacom, such as those in the Galaxy Note line, make it really easy to write since it works exactly like a pen. It also blocks input from the rest of your hand while writing, which prevents those unintended smudges." He says, "People don't use these styli tablets to push buttons. They use them to write. This is why the larger devices tend to support the active digitizers. I think there's a huge untapped market of students and professionals who want to use the long battery life of their tablets for more than just watching YouTube videos. They can become powerful productivity tools with something as simple as an active digitizer and stylus." I think, yeah, the educational sector is just one place where people are clearly actively taking notes. And I know for me, writing stuff is somehow has always sort of ingrained it in my brain better than typing. So, yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think Samsung's thinking about the kids, the students?
Well, they're just trying to make sure that everybody can use their devices. And I think that Sid brought up a great point. The idea that you want to mark up your books. I mean, I think one of the bigger issues with ebooks and textbooks in general is not, at least for me, you couldn't write in the margins. I mean, it'd just be this not interactive thing. You type it, you could type into it. But like you, Sarah, I'm used to writing, and that's how I remember things. I think that's probably where Samsung could go with this.
All right. Well, we've come to the end of our show. Want to thank Simon Dingle. Thank you so much for joining us. I feel like you've joined us on another show when Tom has been out. So thanks for being a really great part of the triangle.
Fill in for Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
Not many people can do that.
You're a great one. Let folks know where to find you online and what's new with you.
At Simon Dingle, simon.co.za. Everything that I do, you'll find on my website. So, or simondingle.com. But yeah, it was great hanging out with you guys. It's always fun. So thanks a lot. I won't claim to be a stand-in for Tom by any stretch of the imagination, but it was good nonetheless.
Always good to have you. And thanks to everybody who participates all the time in our subreddit. technewstoday.reddit.com is where you can not only submit stories that you'd like us to discuss on the show, but vote stories up or down. It helps us stack our rundown each and every day. So thanks to everybody who participates. You're great, Redditors. And if you want to call us, this is always the part of the show where I'm like, now what do I do? If you want to call us, 260-TNT-SHOW is the phone number. Email us at tnt@twit.tv. We got Jason Heiner on the show tomorrow. Tom Merritt will also be back. The gang will be back. See you then.